Hi, this is Paul. Want to make just a little video about. I'll probably want to make more videos about this after I listen to the Greg Hurwitz conversation. I decided to listen to the Douglas Murray conversation. I'm not through it yet, even the first time, but there was a moment in here that I wanted to stop and point out because for me, it shows exactly why I do not think Jordan Peterson is a grifter and why I have a deep sense of trust in him. He and Douglas Murray are the early part of the video I'm actually very interested in, but that will take a longer video effort to take a look at. But here, they're just talking about the kind of stuff that you would expect Jordan Peterson and Douglas Murray to talk about. And Douglas Murray is talking, well, I'll just let him talk about some of this here.
Things, none of the things it focuses on. It focuses on what did we have? We had the green issue in January. It was meant to be a climate emergency of January of last year. Every Democratic government was meant to announce a climate emergency. Then we had the COVID emergency. Then we had the BLM emergency. It's been emergency after emergency, and we don't seem to solve them. In fact, we seem to make them worse when we address them, because we can't agree on the thing that we're meant to be addressing. So as I say, if I was to try to come up with the things to solve this, it would be that people from the left and right who could trust each other. And just one other thing on that. The thing about that is,
and I think again that's a huge point, and trust is basically what you need to make any relationship work almost at any level.
The reason why I think we haven't been able to do that, particularly in America, is this. In my view, the American left has an incorrect approximation of the proximity of fascism to the American political system, or white nationalism to the center of the political system. And obviously Trump has given them a heck of a lot of ammunition, but they were willing to use it anyway. They've been using it for years. They wanted to claim basically that fascism was very, very close. Now you see scenes like the reprehensible scenes at the Capitol the other day, and you see the ammunition that these reprehensible people have just given the left to continue to pretend that the American right, all of the right, CNN presenters and others have said all of the right is now with the Nazis, with the fascists, with the white supremacists. And if that's the case, you can't, if you're on the American left, communicate with anyone on the American right, because when you're not looking, they're going to smuggle fascism in and get you all. And the problem is that an element of the right, look, sometimes it's a reasonable critique, distrusts the left because it doesn't trust that its social welfare instincts aren't going to be then subsumed into their socialist instincts, aren't then going to be subsumed by a deep desire to have communism. So the right doesn't trust the left. Now, I think there are elements of the right that have, particularly in America, deeply overstated the proximity of communism to the American political system.
Do you think I'm one of those?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Right there. Jordan is looking at himself. He's critiquing himself. He is trying to evaluate what he has made a name for himself with, what he has sold books on. His status rocket was fueled by the culture war, and he, in that moment, pauses to ask, is my brand corrupt? And I think Douglas Murray...
Well, I think that
it's something I worry about, when I'm looking at this positive feedback loop situation arise, I can't help but see similarities in the social identity movement and the Marxist movement. And you make that case in your book, so maybe you're one of them too,
Sure.
And these are just the kinds of questions we should always be asking ourselves.
I don't know if this is a situation where, the left purports to see fascism lurking behind every right-wing move. And do you think the right is just as culpable with regards to seeing communism behind every left-wing move? I
think it's a risk.
It's complicated.
It's a risk.
Let me give you a statistic here. A friend of mine just told me the other day.
and you can see the previous conversation. And in fact, it comes up again and again and again in this conversation. And again, this is why for me Peterson has credibility. This is why for me this is what I think many saw in what got labeled as the IDW, a hope for, and I think, again, Greg Hurwitz said it very well, that the extremes of both party are trying to keep a reasonable conversation from being had. And what Jordan is doing is trying to have that reasonable conversation, trying to have it earnestly, trying to have it seriously, trying to have it credibly. And so he's practicing this in himself.
You know, there's only two self-described democratic socialists sitting in the Congressional House in the United States on the Democrat side. There's only two. The rest of them are moderates, and most of the moderates are moderates, you know. Now, those two attract a disproportionate amount of attention, partly because they're incredibly savvy social media users, whereas the moderates aren't at all, and are blind technologically in that sense. But, you know, I guess I wonder how much conscience scouring, everyone's asking themselves that, I suppose, now, how much conscience scouring is in order after the events on the Hill last week or two.
Not everyone is asking themselves, but I think, to Douglas Murray's point, we are all concerned that the other side is not doing it. And fair enough, that probably not to our satisfaction, because if it were to our satisfaction, looking at their positions would be a mirror of our own, and we're not going to have that. But again, I just wanted to highlight that moment that I thought was really wonderful. You know, Douglas is going on ranting, and it's a good rant, and
doesn't trust the left. Now, I think there are elements of the right that have, particularly in America, deeply overstated the proximity of communism to the American political system.
Do you think I'm one of those?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Why not?
Well, I think
there's something I worry about, you know, when I'm looking at this positive feedback loop situation arise. You know, I can't help but see.
I don't know. I see that, and I say, he's not putting on an act. He's not a grifter. He's trying to figure it out, and, you know, unfortunately for him, he was more successful than most, and this kind of thinking will not be allowed. But no, it must be allowed, and you can't stop it, and it must be done. And so I just wanted to make a little video and highlight that moment in what I thought was an excellent conversation.